three pretty young actresses.
I think between the three of us, we have 50 years on television.
Add a touch of Aaron's spelling magic.
We send to you this burning sign.
And a dose of good luck.
I go into every project not having high expectations of how it's going to perform. That way I'm not let down.
And you have the perfect potion for TV rating success.
Cute girls kicking butt.
It's Charmed, the WB's enchanting TV series starring Shannon Doherty, Holly Marie Combs, and Alyssa Milano as three beautiful sisters who are also witches.
We're not trying to send a huge message out there every single Thursday night. You know, we're not saying like, do this, do that. We're saying, look at us, we're total goofballs, and we're having a blast.
Great! Piper Phoebe, duck! Run out!
We're in a time that's about girl power, you know, and this is definitely three very strong women that are fighting evil and trying to save people.
The good news is the spell worked.
I also think witchcraft is just rising, because I think the kids, you know, the traditional religions aren't really holding true for the younger generations.
Ever since we realized we have all these teenage girls and little girls as fans, we've tried to somehow put a moral message in, a family message or a value message in with, you know, our witchcraft.
How can it be good to be witches if all it does is get the people we love killed?
Magical women have long been a part of American pop culture, from the pointy-nosed villainess of The Wizard of Oz to the sexy young witches of the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Charmed creator Connie Burge and story editor Robert Masello are trying to update the witchcraft myth for today's audience.
It's not the weapon that makes him powerful, it's part of what Libris has. I had only preconceived notions about what a witch was, and frankly I saw the pointed hat and the wart on the nose, so I bought an inordinate amount of books on the history of witchcraft, everything I could find.
I mean, are you saying that she's holding it back purposely, or that she knows where it is and she's pointing them at it? I must say that Charmed is the only show that has a licensed, fully bonded demonologist, which is me, on staff. And as a result, because I've written books about demonology and the occult and witchcraft, I'm there to answer questions about how a demon would behave. Would he wear a hat to a party? What would he wear after Labor Day or before?
I think with the show we try and base it more on fantasy stuff and not the real Wiccan values, because that tends to inflame a few people. We're either not technically correct enough or we're like too far away from the truth, so it's hard to kind of make everybody happy.
The moment Phoebe says, aha, she's taken by the demon, that leaves Prue and Piper. They have to scramble and they got to figure out. Which still
executive producer Brad Kern and the show's writers always keep one concept clearly in mind.
Okay, but this is a show about three sisters who happen to be witches, not three witches who happen to be sisters. And that chronology is important because it tells us what our focus is. It's about the sisters.
In fact, the Halliwell sisters of Charmed are actually based on the real-life sisters of show creator Connie Burge.
I have two older sisters, and my older sister Laura is very strong, very driven, and so I attributed the characteristics that my sister Laura has to the character of Prue.
Are you sure you're up for this? I'm sure.
The middle sibling typically tends to be a real people pleaser and very funny, tends to deal with life with a lot of humor. That really applied to my sister Edie, and so I could see the character of Piper.
When we went back to the 70s, we saw ourselves as kids, and now we'll be seeing ourselves walking around 10 years older. Oh, the vanquishing, think of the wear and tear.
Phoebe was honestly the easiest. I just drew from within.
What's the matter?
He didn't bleed. He's not bleeding. There's no blood. There's nothing.
Alyssa was just the greatest piece of luck. She actually replaced another actor at the 11th hour, and so, you know, lucky. Yeah, I felt charmed.
When we shot the pilot with a different girl playing Phoebe, Lori Rom, who I will say is a great actress, and whatever her personal reasons were for not wanting to continue, I understand. It's really interesting because Alyssa and Lori are so completely different. And the show is completely different because of the dynamic that Alyssa brings into it.
I was just jumping right in. And of course, you know, the dynamic with the other girls, not knowing if the girl that I replaced was their best friend or not. And I knew that the two of them had been friends for a long time, so I was nervous about that. But that lasted all of 6 hours.
We didn't gain any lead time when we had to reshoot parts of the pilot, and fortunately the WB and Aaron were willing to reach in their wallets because it wasn't cheap to reshoot a lot of that stuff.
The investment paid off. TV impresario Aaron Spelling and his partner E. Duke Vincent had another hit on their hands.
But this show had the biggest premiere in the history of the Warner Brothers television network. Now again, how did that happen? Suddenly we're doing a show about 3 young, good witches?
I remember when we were picked up after 2 episodes. By the way, it's never happened to me in my whole career. 2 episodes on the air and they call you and pick you up for 22. Come on. And I called Alyssa and Shannon, got on the phone. And I said, we've been picked up. And they said, what? So we've been picked up for the whole year. And they started screaming.
I think I psyched myself up going, God, we're going to have really bad ratings, and, you know, we're on a tough night, and blah, 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 blah.
I'm holding the damn phone waiting, and they ran away to scream to the crew, we're picked up for the whole year. And I could hear their voices screaming. The crew started applauding and screaming. A great moment. Really a great moment.
Then the second season, when they moved us to Thursday night, I was like, oh, we're dead, we're killed, we're getting canceled.
And Shannon let the CEO of the WB, Jamie Kellner, know her feelings firsthand.
Shannon called me all upset when we first announced that we were going to move the show, and I remember promising her that the show would do as well or better in the new time period, and so she said, well, I'm going to be watching. And I think right after we got our numbers on Thursday night, I called her, and so she admitted we were right.
I think that we kind of caught lightning in a bottle with the girls and their chemistry. I like to think that we maintained it with good stories and good scripts and good production, but it starts out with the girls.
Some have said Charmed reminds them of another female-driven Spelling hit.
You have 3 attractive women who are doing good things every week. So yeah, I've been told that this feels like Charlie's Angels with broomsticks.
I can see the comparisons, especially when, you know, there's a Charlie's Angels shot of us, like, all 3 running down the street, and you just feel it. You're like, oh, here's the Charlie's Angels shot. We're 3 girls, and it's a spelling show, and we always have great hair and makeup and great clothes, so it's hard not to draw the comparisons. And it was a great show, so it doesn't bother us that much.
Buddy, what are we doing?
We're getting a type 2.
Help me help you.
It's pure entertainment, and we have fun doing what we're doing, and that translates to the audience.
In the next hour, you'll watch the magic happen. Meet Shannon Doherty, Alyssa Milano, Holly Marie Combs, and their hunky male co-stars. And discover how the writers, producers, and production wizards help these lovely ladies bewitch America each week. So don't go away.
This is Holly Marie Combs, and you're back with the women of Charmed. Why would you want to be anywhere else?
It takes months to produce an episode of Charmed, from story development through filming to post-production. And each show is unique, but one element, the women of Charmed. Let's get to know the actors who play the Halliwell sisters, starting with Holly Marie Combs.
Don't make me kill you, buddy.
Holly started acting in commercials at the ripe old age of 10. She went on to appear in low-profile movies such as 1992's teen slasher flick Dr. Giggles. But in 1993, a little woman-to-woman kiss on the David E. Kelley series Picket Fences thrust Holly into the national spotlight and ignited her career.
Sexuality between teenagers is just like so shocking.
Picket Fences was more sitting around the table and talking, which is actually good. And I thought all this action stuff would be a lot easier than it actually was.
Katie!
Holly's Charmed beginnings involved an old friend.
Shannon and I had been friends for about 7 years, and we had the same business manager who also represents Connie Burge, our writer, so it was kind of an in-house production. Our business manager is getting fees from all of us now.
The interesting thing is when my agent gave me the script, Holly had the script as well. And so when I went in to have my conversation with Aaron, I brought Holly with me. Aaron and I just sat there telling the network that Holly was perfect.
I auditioned and I tested for the network and I went through all the gates and ran the gamut and they finally hired me.
I tend to be on the dark and serious side, and Holly's middle of the road, I would say. She can go comedic or go dark. Being around Alyssa, Holly's picked up a lot more comedy.
Show creator Connie Burge was seduced by Holly's charm.
Holly, who had such a wonderful resume with picket fences, brought just the perfect amount of humor and the kindness and the gentleness that I always thought Piper would have.
My character is the middle sister. She's somewhat the peacemaker. She's always worried about something. She's very worrisome and a little bit neurotic. And she has the power to freeze time, which came out of her great ability to panic at special moments in time.
Look, don't move. Okay, this is gonna hurt me a lot more than it's gonna hurt you.
Piper's very different than me. She's a lot funnier than I am naturally. And she's a bit more high-strung than me. It can be exhausting to play her every day for 12 hours. She can get exhausting.
Every episode that is about Piper, I always love. So like the Wendigo episode where Piper turns into a werewolf. Sounds ridiculous, but for some reason she pulled it off beautifully. I thought that was a really good one.
She's definitely developed her own fan following and is a huge, huge asset to this show.
Derek! Shut up! Sasha! Did you tell your Derek department man to be quiet? I can hear him all the way up here.
It's just our AD staff. They're the ones that are supposed...
Excuse me?
They're the ones that are supposed to keep things quiet. I hear his voice the loudest.
Shush!
The atmosphere is crazy all the time. We usually, what we do is fun stuff, so it's impossible not to have fun with it.
I still hear you! Shush!
Don't make me come down there.
Cool.
We have just silly things. We have grape fright.
So I think it was Holly picked up a bunch of these fake rubber grapes. You started throwing them at the crew.
Friday night grape fight that I think I started. Or was it somebody else?
And all of a sudden, everybody's being bombarded by these grapes.
No, it was me.
When she's not cracking up her coworkers, Holly's in character, breaking hearts.
Dan!
Hi.
With Holly, she has such a gentle quality to her, so it's allowed us to explore a love triangle with her very successfully because we are really able to feel her pain and her struggle.
Holly's something. She's like the girl that, she's like your girlfriend. She could be your girlfriend on any given moment. You just want to show her to Mom. Mom, this is the one.
If Holly had the power to cast a spell in real life, she knows exactly which poor soul she'd target.
I'd cast a spell on that AD down there to be quiet. He is so loud. He has the biggest voice. He's the one that calls rolling and quiet on the set. It's him making noise.
Quiet, please.
Coming up next.
All right, let's add a single to this line, please. Hold up.
The enchanting antics of Alyssa Milano.
Hi, I'm Alyssa Milano, and you're hanging with the women of Charmed. And if you're good and you stay right there, maybe we'll cast a spell on you.
Okay, we got him. You there? Okay.
Each of the Halliwell sisters has a special power all her own. Alyssa Milano's character, Phoebe, has the spooky ability to see into the future.
I saw my future. I was being executed.
But off-screen, Alyssa's very different from her character.
Oh, God, I hope she doesn't kill me. My first memory of Alyssa, I think we were 12. And there were like these sort of young kid Hollywood parties. And Alyssa was in the middle of the dance floor.
And Shannon's not the only one who remembers Alyssa's past. Most of us watched her grow up on television.
Oh, who's the boss? Oh, God, she doesn't know this.
used to watch Who's the Boss religiously as a child. I'm so embarrassed. I did. I watched it. I loved it. Every week I was there.
I think that the great thing about Who's the Boss is it was obvious when that character needed to change because I was growing up. Which, you know, to go out through puberty in front of all of America. You know, I came in with a little training bra one week, and the next week I looked at the script and it said Sam's first bra. And I was like, there's something very wrong with this.
After a successful 8-year run on Who's the Boss came to an end, Alyssa soon caught the eye of Aaron Spelling.
Everybody talks about Alyssa's beauty and talks about her great figure and everything. I saw this. I saw eyes that were windows and not mirrors. When we were looking for somebody from Melrose Place to bring in a young, exciting person, there was nobody else we thought of.
Well, it's crazy.
That's good. When Charmed lost its first Phoebe and desperately needed to cast a replacement, Spelling picked up the phone and made a wish.
I was in Hawaii doing an episode of Fantasy Island, and I got a phone call where he, you know, I picked up the phone and I heard his assistant say, Mr. Spelling is on the line for you, which is always a frightening phone call because you feel like you're being sent to the principal's office. It's like, hi, Mr. Spelling.
I talked, and then I kept pausing, waiting for a question, so I would talk some more.
You could tell how passionate he was about the show and how much he believed in it.
Tell you the truth, I don't know what the hell I said.
So I was, you know, on the phone with him sort of like, you know, just loving hearing this sweet man talk about witches and warlocks. So he sent me the original pilot and the script, and that was it. I started work like 5 days later.
She was very nervous. Her stomach was all upset. She had butterflies. She was very nervous and very quiet. But she was so sweet immediately.
I kept score in case you're wondering.
According to the cast, Alyssa didn't stay quiet for long.
Yeah, we have to go again because I screwed up.
She makes these faces, and it's just the way that something will come out that she'll say,
that doesn't make it any easier. Doesn't make me like it anymore. Doesn't
all
that.
Yeah,
All of that.
Doesn't change how you feel.
Doesn't change how I feel either.
She's just a naturally funny girl. She harasses people, and it's funny.
Speeding!
Oh, she's fun, man. You know, she's an Italian girl, you know, like, you know, so I know about her.
Oh, I don't think so. Actually, Phoebe's a lot like I am in the sense that she finds humor in every situation. I think she represents that, you know, 22, 23-year-old who is driven but doesn't know by what, you know? And I think that the witchcraft sort of gave her a purpose.
But Phoebe's power to see into the future isn't one she's mastered.
Sorry, Phoebes. She can control it sometimes. When she's focused, she can, you know, get a premonition when she calls one to her. But most of the time she can, which is part of her frustration. Phoebe doesn't think things through with any area of her life as much as her sisters do, so especially the witchcraft, because that's exciting and sort of unknown to her.
Like most witches in Hollywood, Phoebes can't cast a spell without wearing the latest fashions, and that's just fine with Alyssa.
My wardrobe is awesome. The only problem I have with it is that when I go out shopping now, I can't find anything to wear because Phoebe gets all the cool stuff, and Alyssa doesn't.
And longtime Spelling costume designer Eilish loves dressing Alyssa Milano.
This little skirt is Alyssa. This is her little top. She wore this to a nightclub. A lot of guys followed her home.
When we go back to the 20s, I'm evil Phoebe. I wore a black wave wig, you know, very period. We did very evil sort of makeup.
This was the dress, and then this was the cape that she makes her big entrance in. She got into the character as far as the makeup and the way she walked, the way she talked.
It definitely makes it easier when you look in the mirror and you're like, whoa, that's not me.
Alyssa may get lost in her character from time to time, but here in the present, she's among friends.
I feel that we're incredibly lucky that the three of us found each other. We all have horses, so we all have things that are in common. Holly and I keep our horses at the same ranch, so we go riding all the time together, and we're very similar. And very close. We're blessed in that way. It's like a big slumber party every day. We giggle a lot.
Coming up next,
It's a trap, so just stay away. Don't look for me.
get personal with Shannon.